Okay, for those that are on the live now, hello, hello. My name is Doreen Moore, and I am live here with College Prep Roadmap. Super excited to be here for our third session. So we decided that this series was to provide information, up-to-date information, accurate information while this pandemic is happening. And then each session, we are inviting a guest. So we are lucky to have a special guest that I will introduce in just a minute. This is a live recording. So if in fact you're not able to watch it right now, it will be posted on the College Prep Roadmap Facebook page, as well as my personal page, but it's really there to provide the information and resources. Highly recommend that you take notes if anything is of interest, or you know of other students and parents that are in the same situation and can benefit from this information. Please share it, because that's really what we're all about. We're in this pandemic together. We are in lockdown. We have, or I say lockdown, but we're at home, social distancing, all of these things. We've been doing this for several weeks. So we want to keep the momentum going, keeping things positive, providing resources so that when this lifts, we can just get back to business, which I know there's going to be a transition period, but we're really trying to stay optimistic. Check the College Prep Roadmap Facebook page. I am posting many times throughout the day with relevant, pertinent information that I feel parents and students need to be aware of. There may be some information that isn't something you want to see or hear about, possibly pushing back the fall semester to a later time. I get it. I completely understand that, but I'm just putting it out there so that you are at least aware of what's happening out there in the real world. College Prep Roadmap is here for you, and we want to be able to provide you the information that's going to help you through this journey. Okay, enough said. So as I mentioned, I have a guest that is here in the expert world of athletics. Now, let's just talk about athletics really quickly. And Zach, you know this. It is a hot topic. Football,
to say the
right?
least. Football is one of them.
Yes. And I have to say, across the country, everyone is waiting for official announcements, starting, high school level and college, and then of course, professional. So, Zach he may not have the exact information, but he is in the thick of all of this. So Zack La Monda is here to be our expert. He is the Dorado High School head football coach in Placentia, California. We are live from California. And he graduated from Servite High School, earned a scholarship at San Diego State University, earning his degree in business with an emphasis in information systems. He has coached collectively for 15 years at the high school level. He has taught at the high school level for 12 years. Zach is in this. He is experiencing these meetings. He's a teacher. He is a coach. He is trying to figure out what his district is going to be doing. So in just a few minutes, I will give Zach the floor, and he will be able to provide us some insight and some direction on where athletics is going, his perspective, the recruitment process, and more importantly, how can our athletes stay in shape while they're at home? It's definitely not a time for them to just be laying around and not be ready to go. So I'm not going to go any more into that, because that's going to be Zach's topic. But I would like to just jump in and provide you some up-to-date information. And Zach, if you have any questions when I'm bringing this up, please do interject, because you are a teacher, an AP teacher, for gosh sakes. So you are getting it from, bullets from all directions.
For sure.
Right? Yeah, the AP. Let's just talk about that AP right now. How are your AP students feeling about a 2 to 3 hour exam shortened to 45 minutes?
I can talk about all AP kids. Some of them are happy, but some of them are more stressed out about taking a test where they had X amount of time. Learning how to take tests over a period of time is a process, and then shortening that window down. They're not 100% sure how many questions, all their stuff. I teach AP computer science principles. So
right.
my kids are on the happier side because they've eliminated the multiple choice test. All that they have to do now is add their 2 tasks, the performance task and the explore task, which we've been working on before break. Very fortunate that the College Board allowed a little bit more time extension for those submissions to happen, as all the school districts are navigating how to go from the quote unquote brick and mortar building where you see your kids, and I'm in my class right now and see a bunch of vacant desks, to taking it online. I'm fortunate enough that the AP Computer Science principal class was already online. Everything that we did was an online platform through code.org. But some of these other AP classes didn't have that resource. So there's a gap. And I think a lot of the schools I could talk about, El Dorado for sure, our AP teachers done a great job of helping to close that gap.
Yeah. And you know what? Kudos to all of the teachers, regular level, honors, AP, adaptive, special ed, all of them having to just pivot and make these adjustments. Thank you. So, thank you for that. Just that little bit about the AP. I do want to bring up, I've got a ton of notes here, notes that I feel that are important. And just yesterday, the College Board had a webcast for students and parents to explain a little bit more about the test. And so I just have a quick recap on that. Basically, in a nutshell, the 45-minute AP exam is really demonstrating to see if the student can construct their own argument and interpretation based on the information that they have. So it's all coming from them. It is an open note and open book, but if you're students, if you're relying on that information, you're going to spend more time digging through your notes and your book, and you will not complete the entire exam. So the objective is to complete the exam. Okay, just complete it, be prepared. And making sure that the students are looking at their primary resources and making the argument. So I know that's a little tricky. Formula sheets will be allowed for chemistry and physics. So you will be able to place that next to your computer, and then you'll show that that is the one document or that one piece of information that is allowed. And you're not going to be able to go to chat rooms. Obviously, that's going to be cheating if you leave the Zoom session and you go to a chat room. And that would be considered cheating, and then that's going to be obviously reported to College Board. But the big thing really is going to be being prepared. They are suggesting 45 minutes of preparation twice a week. In addition to that, your teachers are doing an outstanding job, and then College Board, AP, are providing YouTube and additional resources for instruction. So I think that's important. There will also be a simulation a week to 2 weeks before the exam, so students will understand exactly the conditions and how to perform and what to do the day of the test. So I think that was helpful. This is all new to everyone. Like what Zach said, it's new, and every teacher has to just be resilient and make the changes, support the student. I don't think everyone's 100% on board taking the test at home, but there isn't anything we can do. We just can't stop everything and say no school, no AP exam when they've gone this far. So I think that was good information, and I'm glad that I was able to share it. I was on that call. And also, I'm going to be just taking a quick peek here. Let's talk about our seniors. So our seniors, May 1st, the decision day is coming up. It is in less than 2 weeks. And just a couple reminders that I've already brought up in other segments is, if you're not sure, if you're still uncertain which school that you want to go to, take advantage of anything that's online. I would highly recommend to contact admissions. I would also contact admissions and see if you can request a Zoom call with an admissions rep, just to chat about your concerns or questions that you have. And then, of course, there's always the virtual tours on the campus. Many seniors just haven't had a chance to look at the schools. Not a problem. There's a lot of you in that situation, but don't let that prevent you from, moving on. And then the last thing is, if you have just still questions and you're not sure, what I would recommend you do is to contact the admissions at the university and ask if they will extend that deadline. If it's not in writing and schools are still sticking to the original May 1st decision day, ask them if they'll extend it a week or two. I know there are a lot of schools that have extended it to June 1st, giving students more time to figure out, if the school is the fit, looking at the virtual tours, talking to admissions, etc. But if a school hasn't made that decision, they may be willing to extend it. So I would, check it out. It can't hurt to ask, because you are making a big decision. Zach, you remember when you were you got the scholarship, but in high school, when you're a senior, if you had a couple schools that were offering a scholarship, you were trying to hone in on the best fit and the right school.
Of course.
Yeah.
It can't just be, there's all the pieces of it. You're going to hopefully be there for 4 years. Nowadays, I think the average is 5 years. The environment, there's the weather, and some things you're going to have to, sacrifice. If it's a school you really, really want to go to and you don't like cold weather, it's in the, back east, you might have to deal with it. And those are just things that, it's just like this that we're going through right now, things that you're going to have to live with, adjust to, and move forward. That's just
great point. Yes, that's a great point. So seniors, just don't, keep the momentum. And then again, let's say you have decided and you've committed. A reminder is to keep your eye on your emails. If in fact, and we're just going to stay positive, if in fact fall classes, the fall semester is in person, then you will be getting emails regarding your housing and also new student orientation. So that information comes right after you commit. If in fact the school is unsure, they're not quite ready yet to make that decision that fall classes will be in session, they will contact you. So check your emails as you are now. Very, very important. That's the main, vehicle of communication that colleges have with students and parents. So that's a big deal. And then for seniors, good luck with your APs. Again, just keep in contact with your teachers like Zach. Continue to prepare. Zach, if your AP students have any questions, are they reaching out to you during this time, or do you have certain times that you're working with them? I know your subject is a little different.
Yeah, so I have had, we're doing most of our stuff via Google Classroom. So there have been, kids commenting or emailing there, directly. We were actually on spring break last week. So this was our first full week. And I had my office hours this morning at 9 o'clock, and there were 4 AP kids that popped on different times and asked different questions, because they're all different. Especially how to navigate we'd all signed up for the digital portfolio through the College Board, but we hadn't kind of navigated all the details of it yet. So I logged in after and just kind of went through and recorded my own little video that I'll post to YouTube, and I'll send to the kids of kind of a how to navigate so they can look at on their own, pause, rewind. But yeah, they've been in reaching out.
Oh, that's great. Oh, good. Okay. Is that a common thing that the AP or even teachers in general are doing? Are they doing these small little videos and then just shooting them up to transferring them over to YouTube?
I don't know exactly what a lot of other departments are. Computers falls under math as of right now. I teach Algebra 1, and a couple of the Algebra 1 teachers, that's what they're doing. They're doing some of them are doing Zoom meetings and actually like projecting it up on a whiteboard of some sort, and doing it live. Some of them are like what I did is I have for my lessons, I go over, I record a Zoom and share my screen, but then I also created just a regular video of me doing a math worksheet. Math, I think, is going to kind of be the hardest one during this transition, because the pen and paper, doing it, seeing it being done, getting immediate response. So I did, for each one of my lessons, I did like 5 to 8 problems, actually did them, videotaped myself doing them, and then I posted those to YouTube. I unlisted them on YouTube, and then that way I could just send them out to my kids. And so far so good. But I'm
Nice.
still navigating, and right now I'm not just a teacher, but also being a coach and working with the football guys, and I'm also the head track coach too. But
That's right.
being working with football guys in particular right now, it's a lot of the things that we've been trying to teach over the last 5 years of time management and being able to do this other stuff. That's really what it comes down to. It's the world's changed. Some of these kids that I coach, they're working full time now because they need to, because
Yeah.
a couple of my players, they work part time at a grocery store. Their mom or dad's been furloughed and they don't have a job, but now they're working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week. So I have actually had a few of these Zoom meetings with my football coaching staff, and I've kind of chunked out about 5 to 8 kids, some cases 10 kids per coach, to just make sure we're reaching out and talking, because that's I'm a father of 2 young ones, and they don't understand it, and put it in perspective, because I'm kind of a pseudo kindergarten teacher now, taking my daughter to kindergarten. She put it in a really good perspective about 2-3 weeks ago, where she was like, "Daddy, I'm going back to school on whatever it was, April 13th," or I'm like, "Okay, well, she didn't really know." "No, you're not." But she's like, "I just want to see my friends. I just want to go on the playground. I just want to do this, and my almost 3-year-old just, what he wants to do is go playground or Chuck E. Cheese is really what he wants to do. And I go back and I talk to the football coaches, like, football's fun, it's exciting, there's a lot of greatness to it, but in reality, we're talking about kids. These kids just want to see their friends. They want to joke around, and they probably have, great home lives, love their mothers and fathers. But having that interaction, that being able to give someone a high five, or have someone make fun of you,
Yeah.
Some people
The
think
normal
it's
stuff.
bullying. It's like, kids being kids.
Right.
They're missing that a lot. And the conversations I've had with kids is they just can't wait to get back to whatever our normal moving forward is. Not going to be normal. It's going to be different. These are things that, my 3 and 6, almost 3 and 6-year-old, my kids, it's going to be a chapter in their history book. It's going to be something. We're living through history as we go right now. And I talk with my coaches, and it's like, "Oh, ask questions." I'm like, "I can answer it now, but it's probably going to be a different answer in 3 days or 2 days or a day." I've never seen press conferences happen every day in my entire life. And that information that comes out changes. So it's hard, and I know that, I don't know if you'll cover it or I'll talk a bit about it here, is Doreen and I were talking before, and literally as we're talking about it, about an hour before, the NCAA Eligibility Center came out with new guidelines, like just happened
Just this morning.
So I was reading through them, and I'm still trying to read through them and process all of it. But they're flying by the seat of their pants as well too.
Exactly. No, great point. Thank you. I appreciate that input. And you're right. Weekly, daily, new, that the changes are just crazy. But it also shows that we're all human. We're just trying to do the best that we can, and to support our students. Okay. So just for our juniors, just want to touch on our juniors. Juniors, you are, your remote learning, just keep up your remote learning. Your grades will matter, obviously, for the admissions process next year. But as I had mentioned before, there is going to be some flexibility, but they do need to be, you just need to kind of do your job, do your job regardless of who's looking. And even if it is a pass-fail, if your school or your school district does go to pass-fail, which that has been a conversation, it's all about you. It's all about you doing what you need to do so that you're prepared for next year. Because if you just let go of the handlebars and there's a gap in your education, fall will start and there will be a real tough transition. And we don't have time for that, especially your senior year. So keep up with your remote learning, keep connecting with your teachers, Zoom sessions, study groups, whatever it takes, just do what you need to do. That's really important. And then secondly is testing. Jiminy Christmas. So SAT just canceled this week, the June SAT. A lot of sophomores and juniors have registered for testing. They wanted to take at least one test this year. So the testing world is crashing, but SAT, the College Board, and ACT are doing the best that they can under the circumstances. So for the SAT, the scheduled exams are in place. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say, but they have added a September test. So we still have on the calendar ready to go August 29th. That exam is available. A new test will be added September. I don't have that date as of this morning. October 3rd, November 7th, and December 5th. So these are our tests. This probably will be a number one priority for our juniors. So juniors, if you have not registered, I would highly recommend that you register. I don't think that the August test date is available yet, but keep your eyes open for College Board. Check College Prep Roadmap Facebook page. I will be posting as soon as I find that information. You want to get registered and secure a spot. So those dates are on the calendar, but we do have that September new test date that's been added. ACT, we still have the June 13th test date on the calendar, but I'm going to guess, just like SAT, it's probably going to get canceled. But let's just move forward. So it's June 13th, July 18th, September 12th, October 24th, and December 12th. So these test dates are available as of today, the 17th of April. It could change, like Zach said, tomorrow. There could be an announcement on Monday, but what we want to do is we want to encourage our sophomores and our juniors to stay on track. Now, really quickly, a lot of schools are going test optional next year, which means tests, SAT and ACT is not required for admissions. We also have some colleges and universities eliminating that requirement. Never in a million years did I see that coming. So I want to make sure that test optional, students understand that does not mean test blind. That translates to, I took a test, I like my test score, I'm applying to a college or university that is test optional. Should I send my test? Absolutely. It's not test blind, so whatever they get, they will look at it. And if you have a solid score and you send it, they'll take that into consideration, which will add value to your application. If the test is not required, and a lot of colleges and universities are doing that for our current junior class, then that test that is being sent will not be looked at. It is not required. They will not be evaluating it. So can you imagine what colleges and universities are doing right now? Now they're spinning, trying to figure out how can they fairly, in a fair fashion, evaluate a student without a test score. So they're going to be leaning on your grades, what types of courses that you've taken, your trajectory of class grades, where did you start freshman year, and if you've, improved, or vice versa, your essays, letters of recommendation, and extracurricular. So those will all be taken in consideration if the test score is not required. So students, what I would do is, honestly, and I said this last week, is if you planned on taking the test, I would go ahead and take it. It would not hurt. If it doesn't add value to your application for admissions, a scholarship may require it. So you want to be careful. You want to be sure that you don't just eliminate that test, right? Because the cost of education is up, up, up every year. Zach, you're going to make a comment?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what it comes down to is I would tell people to take the test no matter what. And I say that because the admission requirements are changing. I'm navigating through this document right now as I talk to you guys about the NCAA requirements. It looks like, for the immediate future, that the NCAA has taken out the and ACTs from their criteria to make students eligible. There used to be a sliding scale. But I would tell kids that nowadays, and you want to differentiate yourself any way possible. I would say take the test. That's just me, right? In
Good
this
point.
now where you can't join, the Key Club or, the Science Olympiad Club, or you can't be on the football team. You can't be in the basketball program, right? You can't do these things. What is going to set you apart? Now, I hope and I pray daily, multiple times a day, that we get extracurricular activities. And it's not just, football. I can talk about football. I can talk about athletics, but, you're talking about, the kids that are rolling clubs for the fun part of it and to show that there's other stuff, community service hours. I don't know, you can't really gather and go do something. You can do things individually, help separate yourself apart. But even, being part of the band, or being part of color guard or the dance team or ASB, right? What does that look like now? So if there's any opportunity a kid gets to differentiate themselves, even if the school says, hey, we're not accepting them, we don't want to see them, send them anyways. Not to say that they're not going to look at it. It may not be part of their decision criteria, but if they're looking at two people, it's like, hey, I'm letting A or B in. This kid took initiative and took the SAT just because that shows that he's a hard worker or she's a hard worker. This person did it. Now you're taking the actual data out of the decision, and it's one person or a multiple group of people to say, hey, does student A or student B get in and why? Well, this one, yeah, we'll send this one, and they took the initiative.
Good point.
That's my thought. I'm just one little blip, not even on the totem pole.
But it makes sense.
Especially in this time.
Yeah.
That anyways, right? If we were having classes, right? If I was sitting here in my third period class right now, right? Like I would still say those things. Do what you can.
Right.
And right now, all you can do is stay home, stay socially distanced from people, and take an online SAT or ACT, right? Take them all, right? Like, take them as many
Go
times.
testing.
If they cancel it or not, right? So.
Right. Great point. No, it does make sense. I always worry about, if it's not required or it's test optional for admissions, I'm always looking out for the cost of the school, cost of education. That's a fortune. And if you are, hoping to get some scholarship money, that particular scholarship or scholarships may be tied to a test score. So you still may need to take that. Now for juniors, you may not have a college list right now. You're still working on it. So you don't know, and you don't want to cut yourself short and not take it. And then, oops, you need it. So great point, Zach. I agree with you. Now I just want to mention the student that does not test well. Okay. Regardless of test optional, test not required, whatever, like the student that just is overwhelmed. There has always been a group of colleges and universities that have been test optional. So if that's you and you just are not planning on testing, because there's always going to be that group of students, you want to go to Fair Test, FAIR test, fairtest.org. I was about to say .com. So fairtest.org is a website that lists every college, four-year college and university that is a test optional school. Now, any information that we share today in this session, I will be putting in the comments section so that you can use it as a resource. And if there are any specific questions, if you just want to pop those in the comment section, Zach and I together, if it's related to academics and college admissions and that kind of stuff, I will answer it. I'll reply after the session. And because I know Zach's got a big meeting coming up, and anything that has to do with related to athletics, football, anything, maybe even AP, and you want to ask Zach, put it in the section and he will respond as well. So we want to make sure that answers are provided, and that you do just go to College Prep Roadmap Facebook page, and it'll be right there because this is all going to be recorded and posted. So fairtest.org would definitely be a resource for students that just do not want to test. Continue your online prepping. If you plan to test, there's so many resources available virtually. So if you're used to a one-on-one in-person prepping type program, you will still get that. It'll be just like a Zoom call. So great resource. A lot of prep companies are out there, and a couple that I have had some good success with is College Prep Genius, Elite Test Prep, and Prep Expert. So these 3 test companies, I will put in the comment section. It's worth looking at. Take advantage of those online opportunities. In addition to a lot of free resources, a lot of test prep companies are providing a free full length SAT and a full length ACT. So you can, again, like what Zack said, practice, take the test. Why not? Be ready when you are, be ready for the official test when you register for that. Okay. Any other comments, Zack, that you want to mention about the testing, or are we good?
No, I think that's about it.
Is that good? Okay. And then for sophomores and juniors, I will also put in the comment section a fabulous virtual college fair that will be happening starting April 20th through April 23rd. And this is through Strive. Let's see, it's Strive Virtual College Exploration Week. And it basically is from the 20th to the 23rd. Over 300 colleges are participating. It is definitely worth checking out. Why not? Get some information about various colleges. The nice thing about it is the college rep that will be on this virtual tour will provide his or her information. If you have any specific questions, that's a way to connect to the school. That's another way for you to continue to show interest. And that is something that colleges do factor into the admissions decision. Who knows how it's going to be factored into the decision this upcoming year, the 2020-2021 school year. But when you make connections, when you stay engaged, that is something that they take into consideration. So an email is basically something that would be considered showing demonstrated interest or staying engaged. Just like your Zoom sessions with your teacher, staying engaged, asking questions, it shows that you're involved. And then my last resource before Zack's going to jump into his topic is, and I keep seeing all these cool resources, just like, every week, every day, there is a virtual calming room. Calming, like just a nice calming room, which I thought was amazing. I posted all of this information on College Prep Roadmap, but I'll do it again in the comment section. But it's basically a virtual calming room, and it was created and provided by a high school in Plymouth, Minnesota. The Academic College Counseling Department created this, and it is strategies and tools for managing stress in your emotions. So there's various calming meditation music or, various tools, and I went on to it, and it's pretty cool. So if you know of students or parents or maybe even teachers that just want to, provide this resource for their class, I will have this information for you. But some students are not handling this virtual experience very well. Other students may be like, okay, this is fine, remote learning, no big deal. It's just a wide range of students and how they are handling it. So again, we just want to provide resources and information for you so that you can make this experience the best as possible. Okay, isn't that cool, Zack? Maybe you can submit it to the football team and they can have a kind of a virtual calming experience before you have a meeting with them.
No, I'm not actually. I'm gonna take that, and I'm not only just gonna send it to the football players. I'll be sending it to the staff as well, because I think
good. Okay, and I will.
That's
the name.
One of the things too, where I talk to these teachers. It's stressful for us as well.
And you know what? And I should have made that. Should have made that very clear. Yeah. Absolutely. It's for administrators, teachers, parents, students, counselors, whomever will benefit. And the school is Wayzata High School in Plymouth, Minnesota. So thank you to them. I think that's pretty amazing. Okay, I think that's the up-to-date information with regards to academics, sophomores and freshmen, juniors. Keep doing what you need to do, stay on track. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to pass the mic, even though I don't have a mic. I like to pass the Zoom screen to our Zack La Monda, who will help us understand the next piece of athletics.
I'll try my best. I'll talk briefly about this whole NCAA eligibility thing. The most up-to-date information that I receive, if anybody out there is on social media, and some of you other people, they used to be called I forget what they used to be called, but now it's the NCAA Eligibility Center. That's what they call. You can follow it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and they had a release. The most pertinent information as I go through this is there is a automatic waiver criteria is only for like current seniors. And they will, a bunch of stuff are being modified. And I'll post links to this thing. I also have a little summary picture that I have as well. I think I sent it over to you. The other thing that's probably the most interesting, and I can't speak to it quite yet because I don't know exactly what's happening, but there are schools and school districts that are going to the pass-fail or credit, no credit. The NC2A will actually, the eligibility center will be taking credit scores and assigning a value of a 2.3. If it helps their GPA out, it'll stay. If it does not, then they will kind of change it, is what it's saying here. It says,
Ooh.
The student's core GPA would decrease by including the 2.3 value for past courses. The student's core GPA will be calculated based on the courses with assigned letter grades from the available term. So if you have passed, let's say Algebra 2 as a junior and you get credit for it, and it goes in the eligibility centers at 2.3 and it decreases your GPA at any level, they'll remove it. It'll just be as a pass, and then say instead of having your GPA calculated out of, let's say, 15 classes, it'll be calculated 14 or whatever that number is. So that's really that from an NCAA standpoint. I still think I have to make some more modifications as we go for the underclassmen out there, because like I said before, it's a volatile situation. It changes. I think they did a pretty good job of coming up with some answers for, the spring sport students that are in college now, and they're coming up with answers now for high school spring sport athletes, the seniors, because that's really kind of there's an end date. I think that they'll have to make some more modifications moving forward. But right now, I think they've done a good job of addressing the seniors in high school, and then the ones that have, the seniors really, or eligibility wise, their last year in college. When it comes here to the high school level and the local level, I don't really know what it's going to look like. Like I said, it changes weekend and sometimes day by day. Right now here at El Dorado, we're still planning on going on July 6th. Which was our standard date. I've also been working with my coaching staff and my booster club of what that start date would look like if it's been pushed to, let's say, late August or early September. There have been some talks about maybe moving football to the spring, which would be, in my opinion, detrimental. But it really comes back to figuring out exactly when and if we come back to school. I know Boston, I think you mentioned earlier, I think Boston College went on record either Wednesday or yesterday, last 48 hours, that they're not returning to campus at least until the spring semester or 2021. I don't see that happening here. But, like I said, sports in general, and I can talk about football, but sports in general brings, it's a high school experience. It's, having those stories, I was fortunate enough to have a great time when I was at Servite in high school, but, I don't really remember, the great times unless it's a weird story from one of my teachers. I remember my freshman science teacher, Coach Unger, dressed up as a Terminator, had a twin brother, literally looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He did.
But I don't, and I know I had fun in his class. He kept entertaining. We dissected a lot of stuff, but the kids aren't really going to remember me too much. They may remember a story or something that happened. Most of the stories I remember when I was in high school is something that happened at a football game or a basketball game, or something that happened in the quad, or happened, those social interactions. These kids are losing their, some of their high school experiences. And I think if we can cut that curve off as fast as possible and get back to normalcy, it'll help. Right now with my athletes, I make sure, honestly, I'm kind of maybe a weird one out there. Like, I'm not too worried about the physical side of it. I tell my kids that you have to do something physical no matter what in a day. I don't care what that is, right? And most of it, I'm worried mostly about the mental health of them. Sitting down in front of a computer screen for 4, 5, 6 hours a day is not good for anybody, right? Get up, go do some push-ups, some sit-ups, go run, go walk. Right? If you have the opportunity, I got one of my kids is, loading up a bunch of stuff in a backpack and going for runs, or he's doing it the squats. Just be inventive. There are ways to get stuff done. But that's my thing. My biggest thing for football right now for El Dorado is we're working on the mental side of it, of being able to have my off season or our off seasons built around, learning basic techniques, installing stuff, and working on like the person, the whole student. We actually started this week, one of my coaches and I think we call it the internal warrior, I believe it is, the soul warrior, where we're trying to get kids to learn about themselves. And we have it on Google Classroom, and we make kids, you have to reply to another teammates, in their story, building up, all the stuff that, are going to help kids get through stuff like this. The staying in shape part, that would be my biggest concern as a football coach when we come back. And I a Zoom meeting with my kids on Monday. There's not going to be a lot of time to sit down and study and go over how we run an offensive play or a defensive play, because that's what we're doing right now online. We're doing it virtually. My biggest thing is I need to make sure kids are physically prepared to play. I mean, in some respect, it's not just a contact sport; it's a violent sport. So we're losing valuable time from, all the strength conditioning that we usually do during this time. Not to mention on the field stuff. But I tell my kids, do something. And what your something is. I could attest to it. I hate it, but I do virtually with my wife, with kids bouncing around. We do yoga a couple times a week, and I'm sore in places today that I've never been sore in before because of yoga, but I feel better. Going for walks or bike rides, with the kids or myself. I got some dumbbells and some stuff at home. Just doing something, I feel a million times better. So that's what I try to tell my kids to do. I would tell athletes, football athletes out there, is do something that's going to make you a better football player. And sometimes that is not lifting a weight. It could be talking to your coach and getting in the playbook, understanding that piece of it. And that's kind of where we are right now. With things that are changing and everything else that's happening right now. That's what my main focus is. My main focus is for my players to make sure that no matter what happens this fourth quarter or this moment in time for the next couple months, that they need to understand that material is essential for them for whatever class they move into next year. An algebra student who's moving into geometry, or an English 3 kid going into English 4. There are expectations of those next year's teachers that these kids to learn the material. I don't care personally about letter grades or pass fail, A's, B's, F's, Q's, right? Just right. That's you're going to be expected. And this is, with us being disconnected physically, virtually is one thing, but it's not the norm. In my opinion, the longer it goes on, it's going to be a 5-year like situation, right? Because it's going to compound itself, and 5 years from now, everyone will have expected to learn everything, because right now, I teach freshmen, algebra 1, mostly freshmen. I know that the 8th graders right now are not going to have the knowledge that they should have, or the base when they see
Right.
it. So I know that, okay, hey, that means that freshman year they're going to be behind. We had sophomore, junior, senior year as well. So that means the current 7th graders right now, right, if everything goes back to normal, when they're in 8th grade, they'll get the standard that they should get, right? And so then you filter that out. So it's 5 years, even though we're talking a couple months of being out and all this other stuff. But I'm more excited to, I think that we are, all the stuff that the coaches and I have been doing here for the last 5 years, I think our kids are handling it great. There are some kids that, we got to get on a little bit. It's an adjustment period for everybody. But, it's one of those things where I think we're going to come out on top. Does that mean we're going to win more football games? I don't know. I always think the scoreboard lies anyways, but if I can get my kids to focus on themselves, as per people, be better, brothers or sons, whatever it might be, and stay on top of their academics, we've won, because that's the other thing too, that it's hard for people to realize. But, I won't go into specifics, but I have a football player or a couple that, mom and dad are still working. They don't have a school or a daycare to send, so he has, a sister who's a freshman, a brother who's a 3rd grader, and a sister who's a 1st grader. So guess who's now the parent here for the course of a day? Both mom and dad are essential workers. And we're not talking like this is a family that's, one's in law enforcement and one's a teacher, so like, a nurse. And so they still, they're working, they're 410, so they're there, but there's still days where they're both not there.
Right.
Kid that's expected to do all of their stuff. So that's why the mental side of it, for me is really big for our kids and for athletes, so that's why that website that you talked about, the
Calming, virtual calming room.
I don't know why I thought Harmony, but close enough.
Same thing.
It's something that I will,
pass on
to my coaches and to the teachers and to the players, because I think it's an important time for everybody to have that time to have some de-stressing. Some people use school to get away. Some people use sports to get away. Some people use their job to get away. And a lot of people use that 30, 40 hour, 2 hours at a get away, and we don't have that opportunity to get away. And the more that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, we can hopefully get back to our new norm sooner.
Our new norm.
That's what's going to be.
Zach, I have a couple. I'm just going to go back a little bit because you hit on some really great points, and I appreciate you mentioning, kind of mindset and mental health. I think we forget about that, because when we think about athletics and we think about the football games and practices and baseball and any athlete, you just think about the game time, the fun time. But I remember vividly when I would work with students that got injured and they were out for the season and they did not cope well. Their season was taken from them. They had to go through, rehab. They got, there was depression. There was just a lot of stuff that we had to work with. They gave up with the school. Classes and doing homework and all that kind of stuff. That was just so secondary because their mind was not there. They were in a bad place. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Now, I kind of want to talk about if a student is looking to be competitive. I'm a sophomore or a junior student, and I want to be competitive for the recruitment process. And God only knows where that's going to go and how that's going to be handled. Would it be fair to say that if you want to stay in shape and you want to just kind of keep, yourself on some sort of a schedule so you're competitive, that you get on that roster and you get some playing time, would you say every day? Are you saying every other day? I think there's probably a lot of viewers that would like to possibly, maybe students that are looking for some guidance or making sure they're on track, or parents that can say, hey, get out of bed. If you want to be on the roster, your coach is probably going to, suggest something. So can you give us maybe some guidelines in terms of that type of student?
I would suggest at least 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
From It could be a combination of some sort of body weight exercises, and nowadays you just go to Facebook or Instagram and there's, the local CrossFit gym or trainer that's posting free stuff online. My wife happens to work for 24 Hour Fitness, so we use the yoga app through there.
Right, that's right.
Or running, cardio, get in shape, or sprinting, or lateral multi-direction stuff. One thing that we're in the process as a football staff here is all my coaches, we have what we call EDDs, everyday drills. So these are drills that kids do almost every day, to where I'm a believer that our coaches during spring teach these everyday drills, that when we get going, that a coach should say, hey, EDDs, and the coach could turn his head away for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is, and those kids should be able to execute it perfectly without a coach standing there. So we as a coach staff have, I think out of our 8 position groups, we have 4 or 5 coaches that have already posted their everyday drills to our, we call it Huddle. That's what we navigate, game film and all the other stuff through. Have a resource for our kids to look at the everyday drills and go out and translate them. But most athletes, I don't care what sport you're in, you know what you need to work on. The hard part is like a basketball player, right? If you don't have a basketball hoop, what can you do? Well, you can work on your speed, your multi-direction. You can work on strength. You can dribble a basketball in the street, in your bathroom, in the backyard on grass, maybe not as effective on grass, but there are, baseball players, right? Baseball players, you can work on, so maybe you don't have somebody to throw to. Well, find a wall, right? Throw something, work on, flexibility, work on your elbow strength or rotator cuff strength, be able to, that's why I always like strength conditioning, because it builds the athlete in general. So I would say people, in a perfect world, kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm focused.
Let's see.
2 to 3 we do some sort of strength from kettlebells or bands or body weight stuff, so I try to stay in shape doing it that way, and that's what I would tell an athlete to do. If your coaches don't have a resource, or like if you're a football player and you're a defensive back, your back pedal drills, right? You should be able to see, hey, put yourself as a coach. What would my coach teach me? Well, teach me how to back pedal. Right? What does your linebacker coach have you do? Your O-line coach do? Your quarterback coach do? Put yourself in a coach's shoes and go back. They've all seen drills. We're talking about, kids that are maturing. We're talking, the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. They've seen these drills before, right? It's not like I'm taking my 6-year-old and say, hey, go do basketball drills. She's never played basketball before, but doing something is always going to be better than nothing at all. As far as the recruiting process, most of my buddies that coach college football, if there is no high school football season this year, it's going to be a challenge, because 95% of it is based upon the actual execution of the skill. Playing football, playing basketball, playing baseball, pitching, hitting, so not having that ability to showcase yourself as a football player, as a tennis player, as, a basketball player, whatever sport it is, it's going to be hard to navigate, and this is compounding effects. You're talking about multi-million-dollar colleges And then, residual after that, you're talking about billion-dollar NFL,
Right.
So I wouldn't be shocked to see, in my personal opinion, that the season gets pushed back a few weeks. Season will still go off on all levels, from Pop Warner, the youth to high school to college to NFL. The seasons may not be as long; they might be modified, and I wouldn't be shocked to see empty stadiums. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
From all levels. Here we are teaching virtually. There were already the process of our school district moving forward of taking our games and possibly streaming them online. So I have a feeling that high school, college and NFL games, they already do it. You got you got Texas, University of Texas got their own, television station.
Right.
You got NFL, you got all their stuff. Like it can be done. The problem is, there are hundreds and thousands of high school games out there. You can't cast them all.
Right. That'll be tricky. That would just be wow.
But that loses the interaction too of the fans. And if we travel well, or you have a competitive advantage of being at a home stadium because you can get 600-700 kids there. Now you're going to be looking up in the stands with 0 people. Announcer, and you don't even need an announcer. No one needs to hear it. Clock guy, and guy keeps the score. That's really it.
There you go. One thing I was thinking about when I was, the more I'm, reading and connecting with people is going back when the recruitment process relied on tapes. So before you had a coaching staff that was flying all over and doing their recruitment and watching players in person, they would rely on these tapes. And so I thought, while your athletes are at home working out, doing their work, wouldn't it, be safe to say, go look at some pictures, some films, some videos that you've taken and put together something as a backup, so you've got something to show a coach when and if this particular situation does happen, so at least they see some game.
So I would say that, and I can talk the conversation I had with one of my football players on Tuesday. Take the game film that you have.
Right.
That's really what they want to see. They want to compare apples to apples. That's why, college coaches I talk to, they're not a big fan of what they call like these 7-on-7 leagues where it's just a bunch of footballs. Like you don't have to worry about a run fake. You're only throwing the ball. You're not running the ball. So they want to see the actual 11-on-11 football film. I told all my kids, you should create a highlight. I don't care if you only had like 10 plays and you thought 7 of them were good, then put those 7 together as a highlight.
Okay.
I helped a kid. I told him, go through all 11 games from last year, tag every play you think you did good in, right? I said, and you have until this weekend, and then I'll look at it, and then I'll navigate. I'll spend 15, 20, maybe an hour editing it to where I think you did good in 100 plays. In reality, the best ones are only 20. Cut it up, and we use that app or the website Huddle, HUDL. It's most high schools are on it. That's what we use to get the highlights. It's really easy. They have all the tools built in there. But having some sort of film available. And like I said, if the football season doesn't go off for high school, which I highly doubt, but if it doesn't, those college coaches are going to rely on last year's film.
They have to fill a roster, right? They need a team. And so that's where it's like, and I agree with you. I think it will be pushed back. I don't see, and this is all just speculation, my opinion. So whatever that's worth, I just see that.
Yeah. Cause I've from my coaching friends and sitting down, I can have a meeting with 5 of them right now and they're all going to say something different and we all could be right.
Right.
But I really think that it's going to, my gut feeling is they're going to probably get rid of state championship games in the state of California, push everything a couple of weeks, have everyone start sometime in August, have schools go back, whatever that looks like. I don't know.
Right.
But maybe start the football season end of August, beginning of September, roll it through, and then have no state championship games this year. Because if you started in September and had some championship games, you're talking about playing Christmas and getting into those holidays, which is not good. That's
Right.
that. Like I said, I'm a little blip on a totem pole. I don't even know if I'm on anyone else's totem pole. Maybe it's just
Well, you're in it. You're in the thick of it. You
Yeah.
are a teacher. You are an AP teacher, a regular teacher. You are a head football coach. And so you're working with a district. You're working with.
The hardest part too is it's hard to compare because like our school district at PYL USD, we start the latest at anybody.
Okay.
For example, let's just say none of this COVID-19 was happening. My friends at Fullerton School District, they would have graduated, they would have started their summer camp, and I still would have been in school.
Okay.
Some of them start their summer camp, June 1st, June 2nd, and we don't wait till June 16th here at El Dorado. There are schedules. So it's like maybe
scheduling.
They say, hey, we start August 1st. Everyone can practice August 1st. Well, August 1st for me might be a little bit better, but Fullerton School District, they start school the second week of August. It's a little bit harder to navigate. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. When I get an alert from a press release from CIF or NCAA, I kind of jump all over it.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever I'm doing and go read it.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, and you know what? Everyone will be willing to adjust and modify their schedules if it's a green light or they have something in place where the season will take place, maybe a little bit later. I think we're good to go. So to recap,
I'm gonna be a golf fan here shortly. I heard golf back in a couple of weeks. Let's go. I'll watch golf all 4 days of it.
You know what? Exactly. So I think to recap, I think you know what you're saying, and I think it's very important for our viewers is that student athletes continue being physical. Make sure you take care of yourself cardio-wise, and also mental health is very important. You are going to be a leader on that team if you have the strength, mental strength. I think that was such a good point. I'm so glad you brought that up. But also moving. Zach, thank you 4 to 5 times a week, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Keep in contact with your coaches and take advantage of this time to put together, a tape of some sort, highlights of the games, the actual game time, and put something together because you never know what they're going to. And if someone doesn't do it and you do it, coaches are going to have to do that at same evaluation as colleges for admission. Who initiated whatever who was the one that initiated it? Who's going to bring more to the table in the conversation? Who's committed to their sport, committed to their school, and committed to possibly, being recruited at the college level. So I think that really is nicely stated. And at this point, we don't know, but when we do, we will share it. I will share it on College Prep Roadmap. Yeah. And I think we've covered everything that we wanted to cover. Most important thing is to continue doing what you need to do. Social distancing is huge. It's critical. Stay home when you can, stay home unless you're going to do some essentials. We want to just get back to our normal schedules, continue to follow College Prep Roadmap. Information is available and posted multiple times a day. We provide a holistic support program for parents and students, and we're here for parents. We really are here to support the parents so they can best support their student. So if you're watching this live, thank you so much. And Zach, thank you so much. You're awesome. And next week we'll have another session. What was that?
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. We love sports, and we know that there's a lot of athletes out there that were looking for that guidance. You have a fantastic day. Everybody else have a great day, and talk to you soon.
All right, have a good day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.